Hi, this is James from the Hornbill Technical Support team, and this is a short tutorial to show you how to add or modify database columns using the Database Schema Editor. So the first thing I'm going to do is just advise that before making any changes whatsoever, the first thing you would do is back up your database, and second of all you would need to stop services. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to stop the services from the SupportWorks server configuration. Just going to select them all and stop. So I'm going to continue while that's doing that job. So next I'm going to go into the actual Database Schema Editor, so which is in Programs, Core Services, then Database Schema Editor. And as you can see here, we now have our tables from our main database SW data. So the next thing we're going to do is export the actual schema from the physical database. So what you need to bear in mind is that although you can see the database tables here, there's also the actual database structure which is in the physical database. So this is basically the skeleton ready to go into your physical database. So what I'm going to do is actually export the schema from the physical database first. So I'm going to go to, which is Database, Export Schema from Physical Database, ensure SW Data selected, click on Next, Next again. I'm going to export it to the C drive, just click on Finish. This will just take a few seconds. You'll get a prompt here to ask whether you want to import it back into the actual schema specification database, which is within what you can see here. So I'm just going to go yes, and obviously it's selected the file, so I'm going to go next. I'm going to specify it to use the SW data database, next, and do a clean import. This is quite handy because if you have two separate servers and perhaps you have database columns set up on a test server that you want to bring across to your live server, you can obviously export your actual schema, and instead of obviously creating each an individual column that you've added in, you can obviously just import the actual XML file which you've exported from your test server, so that it will bring in all your additional columns and changes. So now you can see import process is finished, so this means that this is now updated. So now we can go into the actual adding and modifying of columns. So what I'm going to do is just add a new column to the open call table, so I'm going to select open call. I'm also going to just right click and then add new column to table, and we can type in whatever we like here. So I'm just going to type in James, maybe custom 1, and I'm going to select for this one a varchar. And the max data size that you can put in here for MySQL database is 255. So I'm clicking OK. You'll then see your custom com appear at the bottom there. If you wish to, let's say, amend one of the columns, I've got another one of my custom ones in here, James Custom, 16 at the moment. In fact, you can simply just double click and change that to 32. There we go. And then last stage, what we need to do is actually apply this now to the physical database. So I'm going to click on Database, then Apply Specification to Physical Database, then Apply. So again, this might take 1 to 2 seconds. Now this can tell you what changes that you're making and whether you want to proceed with them. I'm just going to say yes. So this is just comparing all the tables from your physical database and this schema in here. Okay, so as you can see, one table has been modified, so that's absolutely correct. So now what we're going to do is just confirm that these particular columns are indeed within your database. One way I'm going to show you that is through the Interactive SQL tool. So I'm going to go to Core Services, Interactive SQL. I'm going to say use SW data. If you're using an MS SQL database, then you'll need to access this from the database query tool. So I'm just going to describe open call. and you'll see here we've got my James Custom 1, James Custom. This has made it then to our main database. So again, just to explain around the Microsoft SQL database, if you're making changes in here, when you're setting up the original installation, you would have set up this database entities here. So within database and manage database entities, by default this will point to the actual local installation as if it was a MySQL installation. So if you've already got an ODBC connection set up to your MS SQL server, then you would have pointed it towards your SQL server from this section here, and obviously filled in the username and password against it. So when you actually apply the specification to the physical database, then that will apply the actual database changes. Okay, so that is all for actually modifying and adding columns. Other sections that we're going to go forward here is for repairing tables and how to actually set up the ODBC connections themselves.